Welcome to Weasel Digital, and welcome to So You Want to Fly. This is a quick start instructional series for new players to Star Wars Squadrons to help them outfit and fly their favorite ships. Before we get to today's episode, we need to take a word from our sponsor, Piggy's Microwavable Gamorrean Rinds. Piggy's Microwavable Gamorrean Rinds have been the favorite snack, voted 3 years in a row on Game War, and is this year's sponsor of the Little Piggy games. So remember, when you're looking for something savory and salty, try Piggy's Microwavable Gamorrean Rinds. So today's episode is all about the TIE Bomber. The TIE SA Bomber is slower than the standard TIE Fighter. The TIE Bomber boasts increased armor, an impressive explosive arsenal, and heavy blasters ideal for assaulting large targets. Whether the Imperials need a fighter to take down enemy capital ships, or just to bomb some helpless village into the Stone Age, the TIE Bomber is absolutely the fighter of choice. What's interesting about it is it can actually perform pretty well in some roles that it's not intended to. Its max hull is sitting at 2200, which is extremely high. It is the highest single hull number. Now, it does not have any shields to protect it, which puts it below some of the other ships in overall health, namely the Y-Wing. But it still, just with max hull, outnumbers a lot of the other craft out there. So it's very durable. Max speed of 115 is pretty darn slow. This isn't a fast ship, but 115 isn't too slow to be effective. Max acceleration of 169 is impressively higher than that of the X-Wing, and the maneuverability of a 75 ties with the X-Wing. So you can see where we're going here. This ship has the potential to dogfight on the same level as some of the other ships. Now, it would not be my first choice. I would rather see someone dogfighting in an interceptor or a TIE Fighter, even a Reaper or TIE Defender I'd kind of prefer. But the TIE Bomber is capable. So if you're looking for something that's really sturdy but maybe not too quick, this may be the choice for you. We have 3 builds we're going to be looking at. The first one is going to be that dogfighting build. Now, I would never fly this build in fleet battles. In fleet battles, I would go straight bomber and just start ripping up the capital ships. However, if you want to take this into an actual dogfight match, I have some suggestions for you. First off, I would stick with the standard laser cannon. The max DPS of 640 is actually right up there with the burst fire TIE Fighter and the burst fire for the interceptor class ships. So the standard laser cannon does significant amount of damage. The rotary cannon does even more damage, but its wind-up time and its maneuverability penalty makes it very difficult to use. When you can use it, it's amazing, but a lot of times it's just not going to be beneficial to you. So that's why we're going to stick with that laser cannon. For our left auxiliary, we're going to drop our assault shield, and we're going to throw on the Goliath missile. The Goliath missile does 1,000 damage, has a lock-on range of 1,000 meters, has a 2-second lock-on, rather long cooldown of 15 seconds, and an ammo capacity of 3 with a medium homing capability. The neat part about this is that when it hits its target, it actually has an area of effect. So from the point of impact, moving up 200 meters in every direction, it can damage other enemy ships that are close by. So it's great at breaking up teams of enemy players that are maybe flying in formation or working together. Our right auxiliary, we're going to go with the multi-lock missile. Multi-lock missile allows you to lock onto 4 separate targets. Each missile does 750 damage. Lock-on time is 1 second, and that's per missile. Cooldown is rather long at 15 seconds again. Ammo capacity of 5. It does require a lock, and it is medium homing. So both of our missile weapons are great for taking on groups of enemies. You're going to want to fly into battle, look for an area that's got a high saturation of targets, get lots of locks, fire off lots of missiles, unleash with your blasters. For countermeasures, we do want to switch over to our Seeker warheads. Those are the superior countermeasures to use in almost all situations. For our hull on this build, we're going to switch over to our Sneer Dampener hull. This does lower our health by 10%, but increases the hostile lock time by 100%. So this means it takes twice as long to lock missiles on you, and that's fairly important because we are rather slow. It's tempting to just boost up our hull, really reinforce it with a lot of extra health, but that's going to take a big chunk out of your acceleration and maneuverability, which means you're not going to be able to dogfight well. So that's why we're sticking with that dampener hull. And for our engine, we're going to stick with our twin ion engines. All in all, the only thing that happens here is we lose a little bit of health. Now, we're still very durable. We're still going to last through a full onslaught of interceptor attacks. We're going to stand up to most other fighters. Our damage output is high. The number of missiles we have is high. You can do a lot of damage in this build. Now, it is best, if possible, to team up with a Reaper support vessel. If you see someone flying a Reaper on your team, stick to them like glue. The dual purpose here is you are going to protect that Reaper. He's not going to fly too fast. He's not going to be able to get away from you. You're going to be able to stick with him pretty easily. Anything that attacks him, he's going to need some help. He's also going to be able to help you out by hopefully throwing some turrets, giving you repairs, or boosting some shields for you. So he'll add to your survivability, and you'll add to his. So it's very, very important for you to work together with other ships when you're doing this build. We'll talk about the gameplay of that more a little bit later. The next build is what I'm going to call the early game bomber. So this is early to mid game bomber build. We're going to stick with our standard laser cannon. For our left auxiliary though, we're going to switch up to our beam cannon. And for the right auxiliary, we're going to go to our bombs. Now this gives us a really nice 1-2 punch against capital ships. As you're approaching from 1,000 meters, you can unleash with your standard laser cannon and your beam cannon. Once you run out of ammo and your beam cannon's exhausted, you'll fly over the top of the ship you're targeting and drop your bombs. Countermeasures, again, we're going to go with our Seeker warheads. For our hull here, you do have two options. We're not worried all that much about actually engaging with enemy targets. If they present themselves, absolutely you'll take those shots. But we're making multiple runs on capital ships. So increasing your health at the loss of some acceleration maneuverability is actually okay. And for our engine, we are going to stick with our twin ion engine. Now, as you can see with this build, speed stays unchanged. We add a lot of health. Now, we don't have any way to repair, and we don't have any shields, so that's why we need that hull. We lose some acceleration and maneuverability, but we're not bad. The point of this build is to attack their CR-90 corvettes, to attack their Nebulon B frigates, make those attack runs, fall back to get repairs. When you're defending, if you're defending with this ship, which wouldn't be my recommended build, but you can use it to attack the CR-90 again that's making the offensive move against your ships. Then what we have is the late game bomber. This is for when you've turned the tide of battle to such that you are attacking their MC-75. We again are going to stick with our standard laser cannon. Our auxiliary setup is going to be the same. We're going to go with the beam cannon and the bombs. Countermeasures, we're going to go Seeker warhead. We are going to go with that reinforced hull to keep us alive. And this time for an engine, we're going to go with the unstable twin engine. Now this engine increases our speed and acceleration, but lowers our health. It also causes a massive explosion upon death. So as you can see here, our speed has actually gone up. Our max acceleration and maneuverability are still fairly low, although not as low as they were. And our health is not quite as high, but we're not expecting to run away. The early game bomber is going to be making attack runs, retreating for repairs. This bomber is set to go after the MC-75, unleash its payloaded deadly arsenal, and then go down swinging. You're going to keep fighting that M75 until you blow up. So with that, we're going to show you some gameplay here to give you a little bit of an idea of how useful this ship can be in those different scenarios. So our first build here is the dogfighting missile build. You see, you approach a large group of enemy targets, get your locks on multiple targets, and fire off multi-fire missiles. That'll do a large amount of damage to multiple targets, allowing other players to finish them off. And there was the Goliath missile. As you see, it hit one but did damage to several different targets. Now these are training dummies, so they have considerably less health than players, but you can see the potential devastation from this set of missiles on this ship. Your high health keeps you in the battle, and then you're able to do considerable amount of damage with your blasters and missiles. So now we're taking a look at what I call the early game bomber. The early game bomber is designed for making quick attacks against the enemy corvette and frigates. It can be used offensively as well as defensively. Every time that your enemy goes on the offense, one of their CR-90s are deployed to attack either your frigates or your capital ship. These CR-90s do considerable amount of damage to you, your allies, and your capital ships. Plus, removing them counts as 20 points. So they can oftentimes help you really tip the morale balance to your side by taking them out quickly. Make a quick run against the enemy corvette or frigates with your power to engines so that you're saving up a boost. You make your attack, you turn away, aim back towards your repair ships, boost back, get repairs, repeat the process. By making the attack and retreat runs, you're less likely to get blown up yourself. You're more likely to be able to do damage to enemy fighters and the capital ships, and you'll resist the enemy's ability to destroy you, thus gaining morale, which they can use to tip the balance of the fight. Next up is our late game bomber. This is the one that's designed specifically to be attacking just the MC-75. You're going to want to take it on a long arc so that you're coming in at the side of the MC-75. Primary target of the MC-75 is always the shield generator gills. You'll want to boost in towards them, take a little bit of an angle, slow your approach, and hit them with your blasters and beam. Or you'll want to take a slightly different angle and make a sweeping motion over the gills as you drop your bomb. Now once you have shot your bombs, the next goal is to just fly back and forth, firing your beam and your cannons. Low sweeping rolls across the hull is the most effective against the MC-75. You'll just kind of bounce across the hull while keeping high damage and doing lots of damage to various parts of the ship. You're just going to keep doing that while hugging the ship until they blow you up. Once you blow up, either due to the MC-75 or enemy fighters, you will explode, doing even more damage to the MC-75 and any enemy fighter. If you can take out other critical systems besides the shield generators, that's excellent too. But of course, our shield generators are the primary target. Keep in mind that, like the other Imperial fighters, you can shunt power from one system to another. So I highly suggest you keep your power to engines at all time. If you watch here, when I run low on ammo, I double press the X button, and that shunts my reserved engine power over to refill my ammunition. That can keep you in the fight for a long time, but keeping your power settings to the engine means you're faster and maneuverable. And that can really help you out, not only in tracking targets, but also avoiding damage from the enemy fighters. So with that, I hope that you now understand some quick, easy builds, and you know how to fly this ship in different combat scenarios. And I wish you the best of luck out there. Hope to see you flying out in space next to me in your TIE bomber. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.